you're going to make money on those oceans, and when you think you're going to just keep on pillaging the earth and just taking control of everyone and creating all this havoc and all this destruction that you've done all over the planet, guess what? You're not, okay? No pillaging the earth anymore, all right? Don't mind anything. Don't try to commercialize anything. Just go get prepared to die, all right? Spend some of that money your ass got hid up in the bank, because you know what? You can't spend it after you're dead. And I'm glad you all at war, killing each other and everything. And guess what? Just for you guys, I'm going to turn it up a tad bit. Personally, for you bitches, it's going to 50. And I mean paying you personal visits at your homes. Trust me on that, because you're some sorry ass people that has destroyed this whole planet, and justice will be served on all y'all cracker asses.
Put them in a war zone. They're not defending our freedoms. They're laying the foundation for 14 permanent military bases to defend the freedoms of ExxonMobil and British Petroleum.
And ITT. Let's add them in there.
They're not establishing democracy. They're establishing the basis for an economic occupation to continue after the military occupation has ended.
And they talk about the Crips and the Blood. The only reason the Crips and the Blood had the wars that they had in the inner cities is because of the same reason why you see them coming together. And listen, you won't even see any Iraqi soldiers that they're fighting. The only thing you see is Iraqi civilians. Look and see what I'm talking about. I mean Afghanistan.
Iraqi society today, thanks to American help, is defined by house raids, death squads, checkpoints, detentions, curfews, blood in the streets, and
I want to show you something.
Is defined by house raids, death squads, checkpoints,
Look, detention. All men. All men. That means there's somewhere where it's all women, and somewhere where it's all children. This is what they do. They take the woman population and put her up in a house and use them for their sexual entertainment. And then later on kill them all. This is our country. Listen, you're not going to sit your ass up after bringing the inducement of yourself from slavery and theft and murder of all, and everywhere you go, this is what you've done. And this is who you have always been. And the reason why I don't have nothing nice to say is because there's nothing nice to say. And this is the reason why I was sent to the earth, to let you guys know, when you see all this bad weather whooping ass, don't expect to see it as being anything other than what it is. There's judgment for the horrible shit that you guys are still doing and have always done on this planet. And I would say to the people that doesn't want to be a part of this, and you know that you're not a part of that, good for you. But some of you guys love this shit in your heart. Bad for you. Spirals coming to get your ass.
Tensions, curfews, blood in the streets, and constant violence. We must dare to speak out in support of the Iraqi people who resist and endure the horrific existence we brought upon them through our bloodthirsty imperial crusade.
Now I want to show you something. They want to let you believe that they went over to this country to look for weapons of mass destruction. Well, guess what? They didn't have to go look for the weapons of mass destruction because they brought them with them. And here is the proof, all in the background of this man. If you want some little more proof that they brought some weapons of mass destruction with them, how about this?
We must dare to speak out in support.
How about that? Now, what threat was he? Did you see a gun anywhere in his hand? Let's take it back so we can see what your taxpayer... I want you guys to see what you're paying for when you give that money to Bishop Blake and West Angeles Church. I want you to see what your... Now the most important climb of the day is that you got to give to your God. The man who steals from God without paying his tithes, make sure that shit like this doesn't happen.
Real crusade. We must dare to speak out in support of those American war resistors, the real military heroes.
That man did not look like no freaking soldier to me. And just to be sure that I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing, because I didn't see any weapons on that guy at all. Do you see any weapons on him? Maybe he got one right here. Right? That's the only place I could think of he had one. What could make someone hate him so much? The fact that he's not a white man. Meaning that even though he doesn't want to claim his blackness, the white man knows who he is. That's why they call them sand niggas. See, he could walk around all day, you know, worshiping everything they want to worship, which most of them worship Allah, but you know what? A lot of these people believe that it's alright to enslave black people. A lot of the wealth generated around a lot of the Middle East has come from Europeans' influence over black people, turning them into a mixture of what you could call Mexicans, black and white. They turned around and turned their back on black people and enslaved them under the name of Allah. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying. I wouldn't lie on these people. I don't know if these people right here did it, but what I'm saying to you is there is a history of Arabs from the Middle East. There was a mixture of black and white that went into Africa and are still into Africa today, right around Egypt and the Sudan, still making things hard for the black native people of that land. That's all I got to say. But it don't justify this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying any of this is right. What I'm saying to you is that you need to be responsible for what you do, everybody. And somebody's going to be responsible for the shit we get ready to see right now.
Thirsty imperial crusade. We must dare to speak out in support of those American war resistors, the real military heroes who uphold their oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Well, they didn't do a good job, because if they did, we should have saw them all rise to the occasion, and still should be rising to the occasion of the Crips and the Blood Wars, the deprivation, the denial of jobs, all the shit that this country sat around and watched happen to us melanated people is the reason why it's still happening to the Iraqi people. So you know what? I have never seen any war veterans from any war come up and say anything wrong with the policies of the American criminal system when it gets involved with doing something about the mistreat of the melanated people, the indigenous people of this land, who you guys have come over and infested with all of your political bullshit that we are looking at right now.
Including those terrorist cells in Washington, D.C., more commonly known as the legislative, executive, and judicial branches.
Oh, don't worry, they're all gonna die. All of them. All those fascist-ass white men who stole this technology from us Egyptians. You can see the freaking triangle right there to prove it to you. All this knowledge came from us. They should have equilateral planes, which in these white people case, I'm sure they don't. But that's what it's all about. That's what that should be. It should be equilateral, meaning it should be a pyramid. And you can see the big columns, that's a representation of the male phallus. You can see the circle around the middle right there, around the bottom, that will be the representation of the female. Meaning the phallus coming out of her. You can see that. You can also see all of the other universal uteruses that in the ancient Kemetic way, they will all be lined up like you see right here, to show infinity and immortality. That's what that's all about. But all this knowledge right here, even when you see them sitting in that chair, you see Asar was the first one that was sitting in there like that. And then they come and they steal all this shit. You can see it on the Djed. See? Do you see the Djed right there? Look. See how funny their asses are? They stole all that shit from us. You see it? You can see the Djed with Asar sitting on it. That's the original way that it came to the world. Now look and see who's sitting their ass on the Djed. You see how obvious that is at the bottom? You see the platform foundation right there? Do you see that on here? You can see it right there, the little rectangle at the bottom. Then you see the big square, like a pyramid. I mean, like an obelisk. After you see that piece there on the bottom, it goes there. And then it rises. And then there's the platform top. And then there's a Asar. You see it all? But he's not in the chair, because he's sitting on the square. Do you see? He's sitting on the square as the true ruler, with divine information inside of him to give him the proper right to be sitting there. But now look. Do you see? Now who's sitting in the chair now? Fucking criminals that goes around the world and murders everyone's children, and have the nerves to be sitting their ass in there like it's something divine about them. You can see even this right here, when you get to the top, it's still Asar's Djed. Because we're the one who brought this knowledge and this science to the earth, because it came to us from the sunlight. And that's the reason we're sitting up now with brilliant brains like mine and can't even find jobs. Because only way I can find a job is that I go out there and perpetuate their decadence. I got to sing some dumbass songs about selling dope and having big stupid ass rims on cars, so all the young men left behind me look up to me and glamorize that shit, and then they be out there with big bags of dope so they can buy the $2,500 chrome rim, okay, or the big ass $500 tires that go on one rim. That's stupid shit. And that's the reason I'm poor, because I can't make it in this world, because the only way you can be successful in this world and be a part of all this bullshit right here is that you gotta perpetuate decadence like this.
Frederick Douglass
That
said,
shit.
"Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the roar of its many waters. The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. Be a struggle. Power concedes."
Look, there's the phallus I tell you about. It's always there. Now this is the Washington Monument. I showed you the one in the Vatican, all right, which were the first original ones that was made by the African men. Us melanated men are the ones who brought this science to the world. Then they bring us all here as they freaking slaves and everything, and make us build one here and make it white for them, okay, and build their whole center of white supremacy bullshit. Look, you can even see the obvious X right there. Look at it. They made it so obvious. Look at it. This is how they get down. See? Stealing our knowledge. Look, they made that X obvious. I mean, come on now. Look at that shit. But that's what I'm talking about. They steal our knowledge and then make our children be stupid and have no knowledge of self. And you women sitting up in that church right now, when you know I'm teaching this shit to you and trying to show you where you got off track at, and instead of you trying to return to your own goddess selves, you still gonna enjoy trying to be there with that white man so you can enjoy all the carnal pleasures that come along with being a Christian. All you gotta do is go to church on Sunday and pay your money and beg Jesus for forgiveness. But you see this light right here? You see how that's a street light that's making the same X's like the sun make? That's what I want you all to see. You see, like I told you, all the lights are going to respond the same way the sun do, because I'm showing you the omnipresence of this spiritual creator who I work for and who I represent and who I am. And that's the reason why when it's time to kill your ass and get you off this planet, because we sick of all this bullshit having an influence on everything that should be godly and everybody worshiping death, and all this dead shit that's on this planet is going to be eradicated. I'm telling you where the dead shit going to be found at, sitting up in West Angeles Church. Let your ass be caught up in there if you want to, and watch and see. These lights like this is going to be in your house with you, and they're going to kill your ass. They're going to go into your eyes and make your heart stop beating, because the earth doesn't want this anymore. And the people that's flying these light ships around the planet, they created this earth, and they was created by the sunlight. And all you people that want to worship Jesus, you go right ahead. But I done warned you what your outcome going to be, what your reward going to be for worshiping a fucking sketch, when the lights are here to show you their omnipotence and their omnipresence. So you choose you today whom you shall serve.
Nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. Every one of us must keep demanding, keep fighting, keep thundering, keep plowing, keep speaking.
I just want to show you how they use
Every
our
one of us
stuff
must
on
keep
us.
demanding, keep
Look right there. Do you see? Look at this pole right here. See, this is all the knowledge that was stolen from us. And they still utilize it, because we was showing them how everything in the universe was in the constant embrace of sexual occurrence. This is the male phallus going into the sky, penetrating the universe. The universe, all this space, all this ether that you see is the cosmic vagina that we live in. And so every person that's moving to and fro on earth is a symbiotic and symbolic mimicking or representation